Hello, welcome to Standard Voice Global News. Today, 12th February 2026, equivalent to 24th Shaban 1447 after Hijrah. I am Ozi Suleiman. First, the headline. President Bola Tinubu appoints Ambassador Yusuf as new National Hajj Commission chairman. Federal government earmarked 14 billion naira to feed over 90,000 inmates nationwide in 2026. Arewa Consultative Forum alert over rising insecurity, humanitarian crisis in the north. And on business, Central Bank approved weekly foreign exchange sales to bureau de change operators. And on the international scene, Canadian team killed family members, 6 others in gun attack. And on sports, Barcelona Football Club face Atletico in Copa del Rey semi-final first leg today. This and more will be coming to you in the bulletin. Stand by for this. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has named Ambassador Ismail Abba Yusuf as the new chairman of the National Hajj Commission, NACOM, following the resignation of former chairman Abdullahi Usman. Tinubu has also sent a letter to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio requesting the expeditious confirmation of Yusuf to replace Usman, who resigned this week. Ambassador Yusuf is a seasoned Nigerian career diplomat who served as the Nigeria Ambassador Extraordinary in plenipotentiary to Turkey from 2021 to 2024. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has challenged justice sector stakeholders to adopt accountable, responsive, and transformative solutions to improve service delivery. He made this call in Abuja at the ministry's retreat and also stressed on the need to recalibrate the machineries of justice for maximum impact and service excellence across the nation. The Justice Minister said all hands must be on deck to confront uncomfortable truths such as issues of a weak system and structural bureaucratic, inefficiency and gap in internal coordination and the interagency collaboration. Fagbemi also reminded the leadership of all organizations within the justice sectors that they hold the sacred trust with attendant responsibility to ensure the peoples enjoy the dividends of justice. On other part, the Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary Beatrice Jedi Agba commended the ministries for the meticulous preparation of the retreat. She noted that the goal was to devise a roadmap with fine-tuned mechanism for practical, measurable steps toward a more efficient system of justice administration. Residents of Federal Capital Territory FCT Abuja seek alternative source as potential water crisis bites harder across communities. It was gathered that the worst affected areas include part of Maitama, Asokoro, and Wuse 2 in the city center, as well as Apo. Also, communities along the Abuja Airport Road include Gwagwalada, Jiwa, and Gwagwa have also been severely hit. Source also said other areas affected are the Durumi, Karumo, and Wumba district in the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, where the crisis has lingered for about a month. The source also said the crisis has been attributed the shrinking of water level at the Usman Dam in Gwari Area Council, where the FCT Water Board treat and distribute water. A resident of Karumo, Abdullahi Mohammed, explained that his children must leave home early every morning in search of water, often remaining away for long periods. Another resident of Durumi, Noel John, lamented that the shortage has forced many to rely on commercial water vendors who have significantly increased their charges. The Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has commenced probe into the engine incident involving an Air Arik flight that made a preventive diversion to Benin City on Wednesday, February 11, 2026. It was gathered that Boeing 737-700 aircraft was operating from Lagos to Port Harcourt when the crew detected an engine problem amid flight. According to the airline, the pilot had a loud bang from the left engine while descending into Port Harcourt International Airport and immediately diverted to Benin Airport in line with standard safety procedure. It added that the aircraft landed safely without further incident and all 80 passengers and crew disembarked unharmed. Meanwhile, Bureau confirmed that abnormal engine indications were observed during the flight, prompting a precautionary engine shutdown and diversion to the nearest suitable airport. Spokesperson for the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, Bimbo Oladeji, in a statement said investigations have secured the aircraft and commenced evidence gathering. She explained that the agency is working closely with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, Arik Air, and other stakeholders, and that preliminary report is expected within 30 days, while a final report will be issued at the conclusion of the investigation. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Eneke, has warned that any personnel of the Armed Forces of Nigeria caught planning or attempting to displace the current democratic government in Nigeria will face full rout of the law. He also described the recent alleged coup plot against the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's lead government by some military personnel as something shameful, shocking, and wholly reprehensible. The Air Chief, who gave the warning at a strategic meeting with the commanders currently ongoing at the headquarters of the Nigerian Air Force, Abuja, insisted that the major role of the military is to support the civil authorities. Meanwhile, it was gathered that the numbers of military officers and civilians arrested in connection with the last year's October planned coup has risen to above 40, with the families of those involved calling for leniency and fair trial. The Nigerian Correctional Service has earmarked over 14 billion naira to feed an estimated 91,100 inmates nationwide in 2026, amid pressure on custodian facilities driven largely by a high population of awaiting trial inmates. Controller General of the service, Sylvester Nwakuche, announced this while presenting the agency's 2025 budget performance and 2026 before the House of Representatives Committee on Reformatory Institutions in Abuja. He explained that the feeding provisions is based on a daily rate of 1,126 naira per inmate and forms part of a proposed about 50 billion naira overhead expenditure in the 2026 fiscal year. Nwakuche added that the pressure on feeding resources reflects the current inmate population profile, noting that awaiting trial inmates make up 64% of the total custodian population across the country. The Controller General said as of February 9, 2026, the total number of inmates stood at 80,812, out of which 51,955 were awaiting trial, 24,913 were convicted inmates, while 3,850 fell under other detention categories. He, however, stressed that the service is mandated to provide adequate nutrition to inmates in line with the United Nations minimum standard rules for the treatment of offenders. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Welcome back, and now the news continue. The Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, has expressed worry over rising insecurity and humanitarian crisis in the north, warning that terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping are spreading across states and displacing communities. Chairman of the forum, Mamman Mike Usman San, who spoke at the 79th National Executive Council meeting of the forum in Kaduna, lamented that the region had continued to face difficulties since its last meeting in August 2025. He said terrorism and banditry, insurgency and kidnapping are on the rise, as witnessed in Kwara, Southern Kaduna, Katsina, Benue, and other locations, noting that the consequences have been devastating, with families and communities violently uprooted and displaced. Usman lamented that the displacements had led to overcrowded camps and informal settlements with limited access to basic service, thereby increasing the risk of malnutrition and mortality among survivors. The ACF chairman urged state chapters of the forum to be proactive, stressing that its existence must not be merely ceremonial or rhetorical. It must be principled, sincere, sacrificial, and action-driven. The Zamfara state government has inaugurated a task force to crack down on unregulated sales of medicine to combat the menace of fake drugs across the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Nefisa Muhammad Maradun, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Malam Bashir Sirajo Maradun, announced in a meeting in Gusau. He also described the unchecked hawking of drugs in public space such as market, streets, and motor park as a serious public health and security concern. Maradun lamented that this illegal trade not only contributes to the rise of drug-resistant infection, but also often operates within larger criminal network, noting that the State Security Council has directed the Ministry of Health to lead a multi-agency effort in drafting a clear, enforceable, and long-term action plan. Representatives from key regulatory bodies, including the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, and the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, PCN, voiced their support. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has approved the weekly foreign exchange purchase by each bureau de change operators at $150,000, and that utilization comply with existing bureau de change operational guidelines. The move is in a strategic move to boost foreign exchange liquidity in the retail segment of the market and meet the legitimate needs of end users. The Apex Bank has also permitted the participation of licensed bureau de change operators in the Nigerian foreign exchange market. Directors Trade and Exchange Department Musa Nakoji, in a circular, said the bank directed that all duly licensed bureau de change are permitted to access foreign exchange through any authorized dealer's bank of their choice at the prevailing market rate. According to the circular, the move targeted at deepen market efficiency and ensure broader access to foreign exchange across the economy. The CBN, however, imposed strict compliance and risk management conditions on the transaction. Authorized dealers are required to conduct a full know your customer and due diligence check on bureau de change claim before any forex sales. Nigerian actor Victor Odochukwu Nwagu, also known as Nkubi, has stated that one of the reasons he became an actor was because people were refusing to employ him due to his physique. He made this disclosure while speaking on the stigma of being a little person in a recent episode of the One on One podcast alongside his wife, noting that he was obvious of his reality until he started getting rejected at job interview after his secondary school. The movie star said, and I quote, "As a child, you barely understand your reality, but you knew you were different from every regular person. When the reality of being a little person first hit me was when I finished secondary school and I couldn't secure minor jobs like others." Nkubi lamented that his daughter is already facing the same stigmatization from internet trolls who make derogatory comments about him due to her size. He, however, noted that him and his wife were aware of the possibility of having a child with dwarfism and were emotionally prepared for it. His wife added that despite their preparation for stigmatization against their child, it still hurts sometimes to see trolls constantly bully her unprovoked. An 18-year-old girl shot dead members of her family before launching a gun attack on her former school in British Columbia in Canada. Canadian police have identified the suspect as Jesse Van Roslela, who died by suicide after Tuesday's rampage in Tumbler Ridge, a remote community of about 2,400 people in western Canada. Authorities had on Wednesday revised the death toll to 9, including the gunwoman down from an earlier figure of 10. Also, investigators said Van Roslela first killed her 39-year-old mother and 11-year-old stepbrother at the family's home before heading to the local high school where she opened fire on his path. The commandant of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in British Columbia, Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDowell, disclosed that the suspect had a history of mental health challenge. At the school, police said she shot dead a female teacher, 3 girls and 2 boys aged, and many others were injured in the attack. Barcelona Football Club is expected to meet Atletico Madrid in Copa del Rey semi-final first leg clash today. Thursday, Barcelona will be without both of their left wingers Marcus Rashford and Rafinha, who is sidelined with a thigh strain. While Rashford did not train on Wednesday, the England international is suffering from a knee problem after receiving a knock in Barca 3-0 win over Real Mallorca on Saturday in La Liga. Barca defender Ronald Araujo, who had a month-long mental health break toward the end of 2025, admitted that he has been suffering from anxiety and depression over the last 18 months in an interview with Spanish newspaper Mundo Deportivo this week. In another development, Tottenham Hotspur have sacked head coach Thomas Frank. The Premier League club announced Frank's dismissal came following Tuesday's 2-1 defeat at home to Newcastle that left Spurs 16th in the Premier League and just 5 points above the relegation zone. Finally, on the news, the top stories again. President Bola Tinubu appoints Ambassador Yusuf as new National Hajj Commission chairman. Federal government earmarked 14 billion naira to feed over 90,000 inmates nationwide in 2026. Arewa Consultative Forum alert over rising insecurity, humanitarian crisis in the north. And on business, Central Bank approved weekly foreign exchange sales to bureau de change operators. And on the international scene, Canadian teen killed family members, 6 others in gun attack. And on sports, Barcelona Football Club face Atletico in Copa del Rey semi-final first leg today. That was the Standard Voice Television news. Our next bulletin comes up to you at 10 p.m. On behalf of the news editor, Elia Adamu Auta, and the production crew, I am Ozi Suleiman, thanking you and bye for now.